College Algebra, Topic 3.1, the point-slope formula. The point-slope formula is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. The purpose of this point-slope formula is to give us linear equations when given a point and a slope. In this case, here's a slope of 2/3 and a point of -6, -5. We're going to use the point-slope formula to create a linear equation from this point and slope. So we'll have y minus y1 equals m. We'll start off with the point-slope formula. And so what goes here is y, and the opposite of y. Well, this is y here. So the opposite of that y will be positive 5. Next, the slope. The slope is here. So this will be 2/3. Then x, and then the opposite of x. Well, this is x, and the opposite of x will be a positive 6. From here, we'll distribute our 2/3. Now that everything's in place, we'll get y plus 5 equals 2/3 x. 2 times 6 is 12 over 3. Next, we'll simplify the 12 over 3, and we'll get a 4. Finally, we'll subtract 5 from both sides. We finally have the linear equation y equals 2/3 x minus 1. And this is in slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form here. Okay, let's try that again. This time, our slope will be, let's say, -4. And the point will be 3/2 minus 1. Again, we want to find a linear equation for this, so we'll start off with the point-slope formula. Okay, so the opposite of y, this is y right here, will be positive 1. The slope will be -4. The opposite of x, which is here, will be a -3/2. Now, we'll distribute that -4. So we'll get a -4x. And here, a -4 times a -3 is a positive 12 all over 2. Now, the positive 12 over 2 reduces down to 6. And then I subtract 1 from both sides. And I end up with the linear equation y equals -4x plus 5. Let's do that once again. This time we're going to create a linear equation starting off with 2 points rather than a point and a slope. So our points will be 4, 5, and -1, 2. Now, again, with the point-slope formula, we're going to need a point and a slope. We definitely have points, but to get the slope, we're going to use the slope formula. The slope formula is the y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Basically says we need a regular y and a opposite y. So we'll use this y right here, and this will be our opposite y there. So we'll keep 5, will be our regular y, and the opposite of 2 will be a -2. For our x's, this will be our regular x, and this will be our opposite x. So what we'll have is the 4, this stays 4, but the -1 becomes positive 1. So we put this together, and we get 3/5. So now we have points and a slope. So we can now use the point-slope formula. Here's our point-slope. And so y, the opposite of y, let's use this one right here. The opposite of y will be -5. That's positive 5, use -5. The slope is 3/5. X, the opposite of x right here, got to use the same point, will be -4. Now I'm going to distribute my 3/5 into both places. So we'll have y minus 5 equals 3/5 x. 3 times -4 is -12 all over 5. Finally, we'll add 5 to both sides. 5, that's a 5. And what we'll get is y equals 3 halves x. Now we can't add these two because the denominators are not the same. This denominator is 1. But I can make it the same if I multiply both by 5. So I'll get 25 over 5, and this remains negative 12 over 5. So when we put these together, the 25 minus 12 will give us 13, positive 13, all over 5. Let's try one more like that. Again, we'll start off with 2 points rather than a point and a slope. So negative 2, negative 5, and negative 5, negative 3. So to use the point slope formula, we're going to need a point and a slope. So to get a slope, we use the slope formula. So y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay, so we need y's. So this will be my y, and I'll use this as my opposite y. So this will stay negative 5, but that will become positive 3. Okay, I'll treat this as my x here, which is negative 2. And this will be my opposite x, which will become positive 5. Okay, negative 5 and a positive 3 is a negative 2. A negative 2 and a 5 is positive 3. So it's negative 2/3 for the slope. So we'll go back to the point slope formula now that we have a point and a slope. So this will be y. The opposite of y, right here, will be positive 5. The slope will be here, negative 2/3. The opposite of x will be the opposite of that one, which will be positive 2. And now I'll distribute my negative 2/3, which will get negative 2/3 x. And then negative 2 times positive 2 is negative 4, all over 3. Next, I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides. Now, this will give me y equals negative 2/3 x. But we can't add these two. The denominator for the 5 is 1, the denominator for 4 is 3. So I want to have a denominator of 3 here, so I multiply it by 3 over 3, and this becomes negative 15 over 3, and this remains negative 4 over 3. So when I put my negative 15 and my negative 4 together, we get negative 19 all over 3.